All right. Welcome, everyone. We're streaming live on all the platforms. I don't even know what all the platforms are, but
Everywhere.
there's a lot. There's a bunch, and we're on all of
We're
them.
platformed.
We're platformed. Okay, so welcome. I'm Aubrey. This is Eli, in case you didn't know us.
Hello.
We are going to be talking about the same thing that most of the country and swaths of the world as well are talking about, which is the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So we're flashing a headline
The
here.
world is aflame.
Wow, she really gave us the tiny dose of that. But who needs more? Because everybody's seen about 80,000 headlines and
I don't
probably
need to see more.
50,000 videos on it. So yeah, I I'm just going to speak from the heart about this for a few minutes, and then I will let Eli give his thoughts on it, and then we'll kind of dive into, the points that we want to hit today and all the different things that this, kind of touched on for us coming from this erotic perspective that we're coming from in these calls. So, um, I take a minute to feel some things like this sometimes. And I would say it probably took me about 10 minutes from learning about it and having it sink into my system for me to feel the full impact of it. And then after that, I started tracking all of the news on it and, different videos and kind of my favorite news deliverers on social media and stuff that I like to follow, and sort of tracking, how were these various points of view and people like responding to this. And um and then so yeah, about 10 minutes in I started crying. And I was like, oh wow, this one, right? Because this is America, a lot of violence in the news all the time, a lot of things like this all the time. um Definitely, I think collectively, there's a desensitization to it and all of that. So yeah, it took me about 10 minutes, and then I started crying. And I didn't I like I knew who Charlie Kirk was. I didn't follow him like super deeply. I like to try to curate my social media and my like algorithm, to be as sort of all across the board as possible, different right-wing people, centrist people, different left-wing people, interesting outliers in each one, that have like a unique voice within their parties. Love gay and Black Republicans. It's my favorite. um, Things like that, right? Like I really try to get kind of an across the board algorithm. So I'm not in a total bubble, although I'm probably still in a bubble. And so I didn't follow Charlie Kirk, like super follow him, but I definitely knew who he was, and I had seen some of his videos, and I definitely have an admiration for anybody who, an admiration and like a lot of respect for anyone who is willing to um, respectfully and passionately uh, put themselves out there to debate, their opinions. Big fan of free speech, big fan of the First Amendment, big fan of, some of these foundational things that America was built on. Big fan of religious freedom, was already before everything that our community has recently gone through. Well, not even recently. I mean, it's been like 7 years now. But now even more of a fan of those things. Now even a bigger fan. And so, yeah, really, like I have so much respect for anyone on any side of anything who's willing to go out and debate respectfully with people about their views and put themselves out there in that way, and meet people in that way and be really overt, like, yeah, I'm trying to change people's minds. Like I want to, this is what I believe in really deeply, like to the core of my being. And he struck me as someone who, although I don't agree with everything he says, is very aligned within himself with what he's saying. And congruency um, is like a value in Eros that, you know, I really look for in people. Because when someone is aligned with their own values, they do tend to treat people better, and they do tend to you know, emanate something that is actually positive into the world, almost regardless of like the medium of the topics that they're using to communicate that essential thing that they're trying to get out. You know, it basically, it's like it ends up being that when they're really on the spot and really on their game, they're actually communicating love. And I saw that in a lot of his interactions with people. I saw a very loving exchange, and I've seen some pretty incendiary ones too. but I feel you know, I just have a lot of respect for anyone who's willing to do that. And I think by being willing to do that, you know, you put yourself out there in a way that keeps the sacred wrestle of debate of a two-party system alive in a time when it feels like it's probably pretty intentionally being, you know, erased. And yeah, that two-party system, that's tough. That is a tough friction to not rub together so intensely. And we're actually going to do a sutra, an Eros sutra with you guys today, a short one on climax consciousness. But that's so intense to not rub together so hard that there's like you're always at war with each other, and to not distance so much that, well, you're always at war with each other. It's like, it's, you know, it is a big ask to learn for, you know, for like adult people to learn to hold a dynamic tension. Apparently it's a big ask. It's a really big ask. Not a lot of people know how to do that. And I think debate and respectful debate and the sacred wrestle is key to that. And so, you know, thought well of him for those core reasons alone. And yeah, I think it I don't know why some acts of violence echo into some deeper chamber of humanity in people than others. But this one feels like the, you know, the results of it, the repercussions of it, the fallout of it, everything that will come from here, it hit a very deep place in a lot of individuals, in, you know, the collective American psyche, in the heart of something. And so I am very interested to see where it goes, and even potentially be part of being a voice of helping it go towards more love. That's what I would like. Eli, initial thoughts?
Yeah, you know, it's like you said, it's like you hear about something like this and you're like, wow, what's going to arise in my consciousness? You know, because you know it's a big one. And you're like, listen, you know, like that's what happens. Is like for me, instead of like trying to formulate an opinion, like I really loved about what you said a minute ago when you were saying like that it happened, you heard about it, and then like you started to notice you had an emotional reaction, and like you were really watching what was happening with your system, like from the ground up. Like what was it, what was arising like in the natural wisdom of you know of your mind and like of your system. And I really think that that's just a beautiful expression of how like how do we how do we formulate a response to something like this? You know, because I think a lot of people, it's so easy. The reason I'm talking about this is because it is so easy to get caught up in a pattern of reactivity. And that looks different on both sides. You know, see, we just say on both sides of a two-party system, right? On all sides.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's easy to get swept up in reactivity, right? On the one hand, you've got all these different patterns. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I've just been watching the dialogue. And you're invariably like this guy just got shot on live television, like in front of a group of people while having a dialogue with people. Like that was the purpose of him being there. And then you've got people who are like basically like to the horror of that. Well, he had it coming, because he's a Second Amendment advocate and he has his principle, regardless of how callously he may have at some point uh, come off in talking about, well, some gun deaths are okay because we have a Second Amendment or whatever. I That's a difficult one to express, but we have a corollary in our situation, which is like, I've heard people say about Nicole and Rachel, like, oh, looks like they're going to learn how to get off on every stroke, right? And it's like, you know what? In that sense, you're right. Like in that
Always.
sense, these people, and I think this is like, but that's how you know. And I think there's a tell on this one. That's how you know someone's actually living their principles. And for there to be a person who's like pointing the finger or um like trying to make a snide commentary, like basically what they're saying is like now you get to actually see your principles. Well, I have a funny thought on that, which is the reason someone create has principles is because they have tasted it. I don't believe someone holds a principle like that is so um, such a lightning rod for fun. They do it because there is something deep inside of them that has hit the point of conviction where they know this is true. This is a truth that I must hold, and I would be willing to die on that hill. And regardless what people may think about his politics or the ways he has expressed them, right? Because this is what everyone's focusing on is sort of, well, his tone was very dismissive of, look, the guy's the father of two children. You think he liked it when kids got killed in schools? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just sort of a ridiculous premise to build a ha ha gotcha argument on. Um, and so anyway, I think that's one. And then the other one is like on the other side is like, well, we have to hit back harder or something. And it's like this is that moment where it's like everyone watch your reactivity. And I'm not to say that that's necessarily going to lead to a negative thing. Sometimes people are being swept up in a larger current that they necessarily can't control. And that's what's supposed to happen. But it's hard to know until you start to see it take shape. And I'm second to Aubrey what she said about like what voice can you be in the process of whatever is taking shape continuing to take shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, Hannah, go ahead and do our quotes. Gathered some quotes on free speech and liberty for you guys because if this thing okay, leave it on that one for a second. So I always thought this quote, I didn't know who did this quote, and now there's two versions of it that I didn't even know about. So I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. I may not agree with you, but I will defend to the death your right to make an ass of yourself. Oscar Wilde, Oscar Wilde flavor of
Oscar
it.
Wilde has some real bangers.
Dude, he was amazing. And then I've got a couple more for you. I've got a Benjamin Franklin one, I think, and then a Frederick Douglass one. Whoever would overthrow the liberty, she'd be teasing me today, guys. She's teasing me. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. And then I forget what my Frederick Douglass one says, but it's good. It's on liberty. I can't see it. It's like it's shared, but it can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Liberty is meaningless where the right to utter one's thoughts and opinions has ceased to exist. That of all rights is the dread of tyrants. I love his face, dude. Frederick Douglass was like not fucking around. Like he was like, I'm fucking here for the real fucking thing. um, so these are just, I mean, there's like a million of them, but these were some ones that I felt inspired by today. And this whole incident, you know, had me feel a lot of things. I mean, it had me feel um, like a deeper appreciation for for the freedoms that America was founded on, and a deeper concern for the loss of those freedoms. It had me feel everything that our community has gone through with our friends Nicole and Rachel being indicted and, you know, convicted. And you know, there's a lot of aspects to this case and this trial, and you know, religious freedom and freedom of speech are two really big aspects. And so yeah, I just kind of, it was very poignant. like like it was like it really touched into that this this like place in my heart where I care so much that we get to maintain access to those as citizens of America and citizens of the world, you know, like it just touched into this place where I felt grateful that we have as much freedom as we do, even still, even when, you know, I have experienced in our community the direct threat on that. Even still, you know, we still have a lot more freedom than a lot of places in the world. And, you know, I take risks by running my mouth about my opinions about this case and this trial, for example, very publicly on my social media and posting videos all the time about it. I run some real risks, but I also get to do that. And it's a risk, but it's not a given that I'll have, you know, legal consequences from that. It's a risk, but it's not a given. And that's more freedom than a lot of people have in the world. And I'm grateful for that. And it means a lot to me to keep that and to keep that for this country. And I never thought I would have like any kind of political or what's it called, identity, like country, I did like identify with, you know, have one of my layers of identity be like affectionately so American. Like I just never really grew up super like that or anything. And so it's kind of been an interesting development. And so yeah, those are some of my favorite quotes from today that inspired me. I don't know if you have any comments here, Eli. No. Okay. So I think our next one the ads thing. Okay. So this is crazy. I have to preface this a little bit. So these are three short post 9/11. So it's 9/11 today. Can't really say happy anniversary, but whatever you say. Not maybe not happy, but you know, it's the anniversary of 9/11 today. And you know, very much remember, I think I was a sophomore. I think I was a sophomore in high school when that happened. And I vividly remember that morning. And so I found these ads today, and well, I mean, they'll speak for themselves, so I'm not gonna say too much, but these are like post 9/11 ads about loss of freedoms, basically. So check these out. I don't even remember seeing these back then.
But personally, I am just so sick and tired of these taxes.
Why do you always do this?
You know, every time you get a paycheck now, most of it goes straight to the government.
Hey, keep it down. You want somebody to hear you?
I'm just saying, I'm the one who's making the money, and I have no say-so.
You know what you're saying? Just calm down.
You want him to ruin your life?
They can do that, you know.
May he bless you and keep you. May he grant you peace. Amen. Thank you all for coming. I'll see you all next week, and please be careful going home. Thank you.
It's a great time. Okay, last
Excuse me. I can't seem to find these anywhere.
These books are no longer available.
I didn't know.
May I have your name, please?
Why?
Excuse me.
What did I do?
We just have a couple of questions.
Easy.
That's good, Hannah. Whoa. I mean, what's crazy is like, it is kind of like, what's crazy is like, it is kind of like that though, a little bit, maybe not to that degree yet, but cancel culture has kind of made it like that, you know, like cancel culture and then how cancel culture gets leveraged by various people, groups, legal entities, the FBI, the DOJ, you know, in order to execute its agendas, right? And so, yeah, I mean, that's not that crazy. So it's kind of predictive, but it does also show it to a degree that we're not at yet. That I'm an eternal optimist. I think that comes with having Eros in your body. Is that right, Eli? Would you say that? You become genuinely optimistic. I really want to know.
I think you become equally aware of all potentials, and then you can exercise choice over which ones you want to focus on.
I like that. Yeah. So yes. And then this is the end of my downstrokes in this episode of Eros Revolution. So I would like Eli to give
All
some
giggles
thoughts.
and snuggles from here.
Like, not exactly, but we're gonna hang out in the down in an intimate way after this. Rather than kind of be in the descent. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on religious freedom and freedom of speech.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. And I think what's wildest is that I don't know. You know how much to say. But one of the things that's been the craziest about the position that we've been in for a while that you've mentioned, Aubrey, is that I grew up in Berkeley, California. It's sort of like liberal stronghold of the world, and it has many benefits. And I'm not saying one party is better than the other. They both have their benefits and their drawbacks. Don't get me wrong. And I kind of never realized that as a kid. I always thought it was just sort of one-sided. And it's crazy, but what I've realized over time is that, oh my goodness, it actually seems like, at least in this moment right now, the people who would be the most likely, it seems, to want to step on my religious liberty are not the people I thought they were when I was growing up. Like, we just saw a white Christian male be shot for expressing traditional Christian beliefs about things. The narrative is that it's those who threaten that hegemony who are the ones who are being kept down, who are the ones who are being shot and whatever. And we just got that's a pretty big counterexample that just happened. And that's kind of allegorical in a certain way to what we're seeing play out in our world, where the sort of Christian evangelical right-wing type people are looking at what happened to Nicole and Rachel and to us and being like, that's not right. Even though we're not really interested in sexuality practices per se. Again, like Frederick Douglass, the quote, "I will defend your right to look like an ass," which to them, we just might. We do a genital stroking practice for spiritual awakening, and that means something to us. We find some aspect of the divine in there. And one would like to think, okay, we're all the way out here on the end of the spectrum. Like, does it get any weirder for religious freedom than what we do? It might, but that's a lot of ground to cover. So then who else would they be defending? Like, who else is getting defended by the people who like, it seems to be the people who are religious understand religious freedom, which is weird because you would think that because they were on the opposite side of the spectrum, they wouldn't, but that's actually what has them be able to understand it. So that's really kind of like, when I look at a commercial like that, that's like, beware of your freedom. I was always taught to beware of George Bush. That was like, Darth Vader, growing up. And now it's sort of like, oh, wait, it might not be so cut and dry, Aubrey. It might not be so cut and dry.
It just might be a little more complex and nuanced than pick a side and stick to your side. Okay, so I was thinking of throwing in a curveball to Hannah, but now I can't remember what it was. So,
well, that's the great thing about a curveball is you can just make another one up.
Right? Be ready for one, Hannah. It might happen. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about just because we're doing this a little different today. We usually kind of hop between, articles and we kind of have a theme or whatever, but today it's pretty much just this one topic. And I think before that, it wasn't a curveball to Hannah. It was just a general. Okay, so somebody asked on Instagram, is it making you feel a lot of things because of the backlash of this? That might be terrifying. I mean, I can feel the possibility of that, like I've seen how it can go in terms of reactivity when, significant things happen, violent things happen in the world. I think at this point, all of us have seen it. Everyone's probably sick and tired of it. And yet it's a difficult thing which is really relates to the sutra that we're about to do. It's a very difficult thing to, reverse the habit of that kind of reactivity and that kind of behavior, collectively and individually. But I am an optimist, and I do have like hope, for lack of a better word. And I do actually feel like my gut sense of this situation was that it hit the heart of something so in such a way that it oddly had the potential to bring people together more than some of the other violent things that I've seen happen. And one thing I like to do is like if something like this happens, I'll scroll through social media to kind of see the pulse of things in various like directions and groups and people and stuff. And I had never seen so many left-leaning people come out with such a strong voice saying do not come in my comment section and celebrate this. Like, this was a human being and this is absolutely not okay. And this is not something that should be happening in America. This person had a right to free speech, even though I didn't agree with anything he said. And you need to look at where you've lost connection to your own empathy as a human being with another human being, and actually being really eloquent about it and kind of going to bat for not for Charlie Kirk, but for like humanity, like for the human heart And it gave me a lot of hope, and it was really beautiful. And I wasn't totally expecting it, because I was seeing the, celebratory kind of psycho stuff. I'm sorry, but it occurred to me as really disturbing that anyone would celebrate someone's death like that. And I was seeing a lot of that. And then, like, mostly in comment sections, less like actual videos, but more just like trolling comment sections and just being kind of like awful. And then I started seeing people coming out with these, and they weren't just like, they came out with like strong voices with a really eloquent expression from the heart, in this way. And so I really feel like this could bring people together. I really do. Oddly, I feel like, of course, we're going to see all the usual stuff with it that you see. The left is going to use it this way, and the right's going to use it this way, and blah, 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 like whatever. But like underneath that, it felt like, maybe because regardless of his views, he lived in alignment with his values and had a true heart. That's how I am a sommelier, a connoisseur of such things. Being an erotic person. I think anyone who is an erotic person and has connection to the Eros in their body is that kind of, becomes that kind of, you can sense that in a person. And so, yeah, I think it could bring people together. And so, no, I don't think it's inevitable that the consequences of this are just absolutely horrifying, terrifying, all the way down the line, terrible. I think it could be great. I think it could be a bottom. It could be a collective bottom.
We can only hope, Aubrey.
Okay, so you're gonna share the sutra link in the chat, is that right, Hannah? And then Hisham's gonna share it on in the socials, and then we're not screen sharing, is that right, Hannah? Okay, so you can stop. Yeah, and then I'll read it. Okay, so Hannah's gonna put it in the chat. Hisham's gonna put it in the socials chat, and I'm going to read it. It's very short. This is an Eros Sutra by Nicole Daedone. This is a sutra from the second volume of sutras. There's 5 volumes. This volume is called Tumescence. The whole volume is about tumescence. Eli, will you give a quick definition of tumescence in case there's people out there who've literally never heard of it, which it just occurred to me is possible?
Yeah, it's sort of like in a place where there's usually movement, it's the stuff that gets stuck, and then when it gets stuck, it gets kind of chunky, and it stops the movement of the free moving things, which should make it good. So examples are traffic on a highway that should normally be going 60 miles an hour. Or you ever have that feeling where you're going to cry, and then you tell yourself, I can't cry, I shouldn't cry, this is a bad moment to cry. And then you can feel kind of emotionally stuffed up afterwards, and you can feel that kind of walking around inside of your body. Or where you knew you needed to say something to someone and you didn't say it, and now all you can think about swirling around in your head is those words. Those are all examples of tumescence. It is stuck energy that wanted to move, that did not have an outlet in order to express itself.
Yeah, that's great. Stuck energy that wanted to move, that didn't have an outlet to express itself. That's great. And so, yeah, it occurs as it can become just our general low level way of feeling too. And it's sort of like an inflammation that's there all the time kind of feeling. Okay, so this sutra is called Climax Consciousness Maintains the Tumescent Mind. Now you need to understand, this volume can read like a doctor manual or something, like a very dense medical book or something like that. So, but we're going. So tumescence, left to its own devices, will manufacture misery in a progressive way and feed off it. Its path will start with resistance to reality, followed by resentment, rejection, and finally repression, which leads at some unknown point to the climax of explosive behavior. So through the erotic lens, occurrences like this, anytime any of us who are familiar with looking at things through this lens see something like this, we're like, oh, like that's a climax. Like that's a climax on the level of, the world on the level of politics, that's a climax. It's a violent burst through the fabric of, it's like through the fabric of reality, you know. It's explosive behavior. So this is the climax track of tumescence. In contrast, tumescence converted by the erotic mind. This is, the erotic mind is something that you develop through orgasmic meditation, through, you know, working with this kind of philosophy. This is a type of mind that you can develop, and it can be in a perpetual or automated cycle of transmutation, or, you know, alchemy, or however you want to think about it. Like the erotic mind can convert massive amounts of intense feelings and stuff and trauma, to use the world's favorite buzzword, and you know, like undigested material, you know, like other people's stuff. Like when you have a strong erotic mind, it can become in this sort of perpetual or automatic cycle of transmutation. Like you're just sort of always converting this stuff, like how plants do carbon dioxide to oxygen. This is the alchemy of Eros. The attention. This is why, guys, this is the Eros Revolution podcast. This is why me and Eli teach orgasmic meditation and teach all about Eros philosophy, because we believe this is at the root of all of it. Were you to address the disconnect from Eros at the root of all of it, all of these things, all of these climaxes and all of these things in the world that you're seeing up here on the surface level of things, if you were to go to the root and have people reconnect to their own Eros, the energy of Eros in their own body, connect to their body, you would be addressing the root of the issue. This is why we do what we do. The attention is trained to convert tumescent smog into oxygen. Once the training is complete, the process will eventually happen on its own. Let me just see if we really need to read any of this other stuff. That's pretty good. Ruled by the tumescent mind, the best we can hope for with our emotions is to bring them to this place where we are so taxed we cannot help but leak or explode them out through a climactic event. And I think that's where kind of we live right now with the world and with politics and everything. Everything's just, it's just kind of climactic events all over the place all the time. It's very intense all the time. There's kind of always these outbursts all the time because there's such a buildup of tumescence. We allow these emotions to collect until they hit a point where we cannot hold them in anymore, instead of training in the deliberate moment to moment discharge in real time. So everything we teach, everything that this path of Eros is, everything that orgasmic meditation is, you know, all of the stuff that we're always talking about, the sutras, everything, that all of these things point to teaching people how to do what we would call, you know, because we're borrowing the language of orgasmic meditation, where you're stroking the clitoris, a stroke by stroke dealing with the emotions, dealing with the tumescence, a stroke by stroke converting of the overwhelming intensity of all the things, rather than exploding it out. It's all about learning how to do, you know, one stroke at a time to actually like convert it into usable energy that can then be harnessed and aimed and put into things such as a calling or, you know, a purpose. Eli?
There's a lot in there. Yeah, I think the difficulty right now is that we don't, you know, we have these little hopes that pop up every now and then, because the hope is that the hope of the erotic mind on some level, because see, it's sort of this, it's what we would call an autocatalytic process, where the more you do, the more that happens, the more that happens, the more that happens, the more that happens in terms of this transmutation. And the notion is that you've got this erotic mind, which is different than what's called the rational mind. The rational mind is what feels a desire or feels a pain or feels something and goes, nope, nope, not doing that. Right? This is a bad time to feel that, right? When there's really no good or bad time to feel anything, right? But that to feel something would interrupt whatever the rational mind is doing, and so it doesn't want to be interrupted. It wants to use the energy from it, not have to take a minute, slow down, and be like, oh gosh, what is this feeling that is arising in this moment that might take me in a different direction, if we're just talking about a person. And so, okay, so you've got this erotic mind, which is suddenly open to feeling whatever it is, or looking at whatever it is. And you have to have space to do that. Like Aubrey said, orgasmic meditation starts to dissolve it in the body and in the mind in various ways. The thing is though, that the more tumescence you transmute, and so the less you have in your system, the more tumescence wants to convince you that you should go back to the way that things were. This is one of these weird catch-22s, because what's going to happen is you're going to suddenly feel like, oh my God, I have so much more access to wisdom. I have so much more access to being able to see through the top layer of things, right? Which is bad for tumescence, because tumescence wants you reactive. Tumescence wants you feeling like, oh, something's wrong and I have to fix it now with some thing I have to do, or money I have to spend, or a person I have to murder, or like whatever the, this is what we're watching play out, right? On the national stage. And it's going to try to convince you.
That grip to belief is tumescence.
Yes, right. Yes, it's going to try to convince you that you must act in a particular way about something right now. Right now. You must go on Facebook and yell very loudly at somebody. You must whatever it is that it does. And this doesn't mean that in the alternative you should just sort of sit back and do nothing. But this leads to a longer conversation. That's the problem. Those are tumescence's least favorite words. This will lead to a longer conversation. It does not want to hear that. It wants what it wants when it wants it. And again, it will convince us. It will try to convince us in our own voice, at the level of our own survival, that it's right. And so the more of that you convert, the more wisdom you have. And the more wisdom you have, the more power you seem to accrue that will help you act in ways that are non-tumescent, which tumescence hates. And so, like, let's say, just for the pure, what's the word, Aubrey? Just for the pure heck of it, let's say that guy, because that guy, let's just say, for example, he heard Charlie Kirk and he was like, oh, this is really bad. I got to do something about this. And so he goes up there, he grabs his rifle and he shoots him dead. Okay. But if let's say this guy was actually, I don't know, doing yoga that day or something. And like that could so easily be, I need to go talk to Charlie Kirk. I need to go tell him, we need to have a real conversation about this, right? That's like the ramped down version of like, I need to shoot this guy, right? It's the same, and on some level, it can be the same base impulse, just with a much deeper, much wiser execution. I need to go kill his ideas with a good, solid debate. That's what I'm going to try to do, is I'm going to try to arrest his ideas. I'm going to shoot them right in the idea. That's much different than shooting the person.
You're having me think of how lazy tumescence is.
It's so lazy. It's actually, it's so lazy. That's such a great point. It's so lazy. Not only is it lazy, but see, this is the tricky thing about tumescence, is that if you watch what's happening, watch what's going to happen. Killing Charlie Kirk is going to make more people talk about Charlie Kirk. And only that,
I had seen probably like 6 Charlie Kirk videos of his debates with college students before this.
Totally.
Now I've seen
and now
100.
Now he's going to be everywhere. And now there's so many people at all these college campuses going to be like, well, now that Charlie's gone, I got to step up. Right. And like, we're going to like grab a microphone and go to the chair, like sit on their campus quad and be like, I'll debate anybody. Cause like Charlie's gone. Who's going to do it but me? Like, congratulations. You've just replicated this thing. And now there's all of these other potentials for inflammation and argument, right? Or for debate, right? On some level, it can be seen as a good thing or a bad thing. But point being that tumescence has the tumescence that would want to extinguish, would try to kill this dude to extinguish his ideas, has now just multiplied them, which is what tumescence does. It tells you, I'm going to help you get rid of this problem. And then in the process of doing it, creates a bigger problem so that it can continue to perpetuate itself with more anger and more reactivity. That's its whole goal.
It seems kind of like parasitic or something.
That's a great word. That's the word. Parasitic is a great word. It is parasitic.
Yeah.
But it's very cunning. And you can use the words from the big book. It is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Tumescence is cunning, baffling, and powerful because it lies to you in your own voice about what it says is going to be good for you or what it is that you think you should want. And then it has you step in dog do the whole time.
Totally.
Been there, done that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, the laziness of it really struck me today when I was listening to you. I was like, because two-party system used well, right? Your opposition is over there running their mouth. You disagree with every single thing they say. You're over here pissed off about it. You get so mad, you become motivated to also become an excellent debater. And then you do the work to actually become that. And then you figure out how to play back and change the game in some way with actual like power that you've accrued by doing the work to create that magnetism, that momentum, whatever, right? A voice that people want to listen to. And then you go and then you're like, then you can debate and you get in there and it's like play. And it's serious, but it's also play, and it's like deep, and the stakes are real, but it's like based in connection, and then the tumescent way is kill him. That's so fucking lazy. That's so fucking lazy. Okay. All right. So then we're gonna begin to wrap up. I have these two last videos for you guys. Oh no,
you disgust me with your laziness.
It's disgusting. It really is. Like let your rage at someone marinate into a desire to better yourself so you can beat them fair and square or something. I don't know. Like let your frustration at the way things are drive you to become so fucking creative that you like outdo all of your opposition, all your ops, like that is the point. Like let it make you into a better person. Use it. Don't be used by it.
Ooh.
The name of the
mic drop on that one, I think.
Okay, so I have these last few videos for you guys that I just love. Okay, so go ahead and pick one of those. Yeah, okay. So this dude, I like this dude. I just started kind of exploring this dude's page recently. He's cute with his views and stuff. So he came on and he did these two videos the other day, and it just said liberals say something nice about conservatives. And then there's a conservative one we'll show you too. So let's see. Okay, so I appreciate how hard you guys fight for our veterans. That's always so important. Blue collar conservatives, you really are hard workers, and I understand why you want to keep the money you've rightfully earned. I know so many rural conservatives who would put down their day's work to help any stranger in need. I love talking politics with a level-headed conservative because they bring a very logical viewpoint of certain issues, whereas I look at the emotional side of things. I think conservatives help balance us out when our party is open to actually hearing them out. Okay? There's hope in the world, guys. All right, show the other one. So conservatives say something nice about liberals. As a conservative who's passionate about the environment, I love how passionate liberals are about our earth and its animals. Y'all are right about gay rights. Everyone should be able to marry any legal adult they want. Happiness and love shouldn't be restricted. Liberal here with nice things about conservatives. Oh, that's the opposite. I can appreciate that most of your policy beliefs stem from the desire for everyone to have their needs met and be happy. So it's just, I don't know how he did it. Like he
This
didn't.
is a great thread.
Huh?
This is a great thread.
I know. I don't know how this guy like his energy attracted that, I guess. Like I don't know how he did it, but instead of just getting like gross comments, like a lot of people might have or whatever, but something about what he puts out drew that kind of just like, we're going to behave in this person's
It's
comment
nice.
section.
Nice feeling person.
Yeah, and it was like I was reading through those and it was like it was healing, it's you call it a two-party system, but it's like emotionality and rationality. It's whatever. Like there's always it's masculine and feminine, it's whatever, like whatever that polarity is in life and in the world. There's that experience where it seems like two separate things and they're really one thing and you really need both. And the whole point is to like find that dynamic tension that's always shifting and moving like a dance between the two, and you need both, and it is never to stamp out the other in any way. That is not the point. If the thing that is the polarity to this thing is rising, then you use that as inspiration to go to your next level so that you can meet it and balance it out. It's never to try to stamp it out. So lazy. So lazy. And then for the very last thing, a friend showed us this right before this talk and I was so inspired. Don't play it yet. So this is the kind of fun and creativity and play that I feel like could be possible if we put connection first over which beliefs we hold. Like put connection first and put like maintaining connection as the highest priority. And then work with, then you can talk about your different beliefs with each other and you can wrestle it out and all of that, but connection comes first. And when you do it that way, a lot of crazy, cool, creative, different things can be done with how much charge exists and how much tumescence exists and climactic energy and all that. And I just thought this was a really cute
Nice. Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Play it. Why are you teasing me? This is this is a rap battle, but I feel like we could have debates like this too or something, like bring play to college campuses in this way. Or not, Hannah just doesn't want us to have it. I don't know what to tell you guys.
You look incredible, dude. I am jealous of you. Found the fountain of youth and just fell in the pool. If you try to guess his age, then I bet you would lose. He looks good for 40, right? Wrong, he's 72. Bro, he can change minds, save lives.
No, you believe. Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, the point being that, it's, yeah, you can stop. It's fine. The point being, like, I had just been thinking, because I had been seeing all of these, debate clips of Charlie Kirk in the last like 24 hours or whatever, and was starting to get kind of inspired about different ways that people could engage and different kinds of debating that people could do. And I kind of had a thought like this where I was like, God, it'd be actually really fun if people could sort of like yell at each other, but positive things that might run some of the energy. and then Hisham sent this in and was like, look at this, you guys. And I was like, oh my God, people are already doing it, And so I do feel like this is the kind of, I don't know, it could just be so much more creative and so much less lazy.
Amen.
Any final thoughts, Eli?
Oh, well. Hope someone does something good with this.
I mean, I think that's inevitable,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. All right. That was great, you guys. Thanks for spending an hour with us. Really wonderful. And we will see you on Monday for another Eros Revolution.
Thanks, Aubrey.